Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Fallout New Vegas. So, I've spent a lot of extra time sorting things out as far as my inventory in between episodes. So I've gotten everything down to a really small amount, with perhaps the exception of the aid, which is kind of high still. Are we still addicted, by the way, to the... I guess we're not addicted to turbo. Maybe the health box fixed that for us. But yeah. I even decided to get rid of all of the modifications while we're picking up miscellaneous stuff. In this menu you still have a lot of like quest miscellaneous items that you just cannot get rid of or put in at least the inventory of a cabinet. So it looks different here. Like it's fairly almost nothing here compared to what it looks like here. And I guess you really just have to drop things. Speaking of dropping things, if I drop a blank book, it is just a blank book. When I pick it up, it stays a blank book. It doesn't turn into a blank magazine, which would be what I'd like to do because I've made too many blank books at this point. So, yeah. What I've also done is put every item that I had that actually is used for crafting in this toolbox. And just, I went down the line and everything that's yellow, with the exception of like bottle caps and lead. Everything that I had in my inventory, after picking up all my inventory in here, which there's almost nothing in here now, I put here. I also did the exact same thing for the hot plate. So now I have a full list here of items that could be used, theoretically, to cook with. But it is questionable whether I'd have all the resources to do that. And in the end, that still left me with a fairly large amount of items that I'm keeping potentially like one of each of these 8 items and one of each of the miscellaneous items. But yep, there is definitely still a decent amount of junk items that you can't recycle through the book chute, you can't recycle through Mugsy or Muggy, you can't recycle through the toaster. And by spending all the time here, I have to assume, like real world time being spent here, it finally caused everything to cycle over. So all the plants grew once again, so I could collect them a second time. I question whether I will even play this game long enough to come back and collect them a third time. Use the sink to turn a lot of empty bottles into pure water. I also looked at the reloading station, and I've dumped like even weightless things like cases and hulls and primers into the inventory of that, which really isn't going to change too much. There's only a couple of items here that are unique. Cherry bombs and conductors, scrap metal, spare electronics might be one, but I don't even know. But because that reset, I was able to sell things, and there was actual caps in the storefront. So I have now 20,000 caps to get this implant installed. So now extra HP from eating food. course, that leaves me at 67 caps.
Might I be of service, sir?
And I don't really have
Very good, sir.
anything to sell extra. I could probably sell items like drugs if necessary, but yeah, the store is back down to 1,200 caps, and if they don't give me anything new to purchase, which I imagine they might very well give me something new to purchase, I will end up probably just buying guns and selling light items. Some of these items, like healing powder, actually do get used, I think, to craft something else. So there is probably some stuff. Purified water is another one that could be used to craft more expensive things. Stimpaks just taking those in general would make sense. I have one of these weapon binding rituals. I want to find a knife, equip the knife, and do the weapon binding ritual and see if maybe that magically is the thing that will give me the cosmic knife. The vast majority of these items here, though, well, blank magazine, like most of these still are useless items. Some of these would convert into other items. But yeah. I didn't realize you can buy mods the second time. Interesting, the mods have reset, so I can buy them the second time. But yeah, a large amount of this is still pretty useless items. Alright, well, that's enough setup, though. What I want to do today is get back into searching the last few areas. I definitely have a feeling that what is going to happen here is that we will fairly quickly be done with the game once we start handing over all the main quests. Also, I'd say fast traveling here to the sink balcony has you face the door more than fast traveling to the think tank. Like, you're standing here when you fast travel in the wrong direction. To go to the sink, you have to turn around and walk. Fast traveling to the balcony, you're just standing right in front of the door. So it saves you a little bit of time. The game did crash 2 times as I was fast traveling to this location to pick up all of the items I had left. And I don't know if this mark, this Ulysses mark, is supposed to mean anything. What we're doing is we're going here, just to see what this is. This will give me an opportunity also to take out some random enemies, which will give me some random items. since I'm starting at 55. Interesting. Was that the explosion of a rat scorpion? Or is that just something hitting the wall? It does seem to me like these guys might be becoming more common and stronger, and that everything may just be scaling up in difficulty. I don't think that would really do anything though in the long run. I think that would probably just mean we'd get a little bit better equipment while still killing things, playing on very easy. I don't really think that there's inherently like a timer. Prey Moon Crash was kind of like that, where areas would just get very, very dangerous. If you stayed in the area, or if you played over and over again in the same area. Although Prey Moon Crash is also kind of balanced, where it's supposed to get more dangerous, and you're just supposed to be able to handle it. Whereas if this is a case that this area is getting more dangerous, not because of the location I'm searching, but simply because I've discovered so many other places and moved. Well, I haven't even really moved the main story along.
Did I mention that my zone is forbidden to you? So forbidden.
Here we have yet another named character. We'll come back down in a second and check that out. There's not a lot of locked gates in this DLC. I feel like you could have had every gate be locked just to give more XP. Inevitably, I will become just over encumbered. But I also do kind of feel like what might happen here is that I might end up draining the entirety of the land. There may just not be a way to gain that last bit of resources once I've visited every area. They are probably over-relying too much on metal boxes. But if that was more consistent, and metal boxes were always the place, or the item to search. Let's see. Plasma pistol is probably worth more than a laser pistol. Police baton and police baton. Then It's not gonna do us a great amount of favors as far as weight. I'm gonna search just a couple other things and then I'll be over encumbered again. So the question is there a door here? Yes, there is. Okay. So how much and how easy is it to throw away items to get back down to that 58 or 55 that it was? I'm at 60 now, so that tells me it's got to be like 5 more pounds, 3 more pounds. Yep. And it's not worth searching any further to find those last 2 pounds. So you have all these like warheads and these big guns, and I wouldn't be surprised if we do have a storyline where we're going to come back to these big guns and use them. But yeah, at the moment I'm thinking, well, initial test fire. Interesting. So you have a whole animation there. These are not too far away from what should have been at the Hoover Dam. There. Some trick here where you're supposed to get on top of this building. Oh no, don't tell me I'm gonna get stuck. Okay, so then, yeah, it's probably not worth sorting through this too much. Let's go and see what's in here. Well, not much. Now this is intriguing. This feels like the first time I've ever seen a car actually crashed through a building. I was totally expecting the walls to be completely intact. Still don't want to pick up ashtrays. Did not mean to sit down. Still really not getting the right equipment to repair combat armor or the stealth suit. Yes, I see a bunch of skeletons around, but for all I know, those are people that died hundreds of years ago. And while I will fully admit what I'm doing right now is pretty insane, it would be absolutely, totally insane to run around the entire overworld collecting cups and then coming back and converting them into base ingredients or crafting ingredients. I guess maybe the idea is here you have a warhead shoved right up his butt. Let's just look upward and make sure there's not some other item. So there was a named enemy in this location.
The Cazador Preserve and the Night Stalker splicing
seems to be it.
facilities are strangely quiet. Too quiet.
So we'll just take the shortcut of walking past the perimeter if we can. Kind of need the perimeter warning to pop up now. I got really lucky there being over encumbered. There is definitely a logical flaw around this in that it just doesn't make a lot of sense to have anything other than smooth walking paths around the edge if you're gonna be over encumbered every time you're likely to do that. I did not make progress on a challenge walking through that a third time.
I love mud so much. I just might.
Greetings, citizen.
Feel myself.
So we'll process the clipboards. We will
Got any more sweet, innocent little kid?
process the toasters.
Got any more sweet?
And then we need to find Muggy, who seems like he likes to stay somewhere around here. And process that. Also,
Oh, please, please!
it does seem to me like, well, we could also ask him if he's got
Oh,
any more
please, please!
resources. Nope.
Sure.
So we're still over encumbered at this point.
Look out! Communist! No, false alarm. It was just a plant.
So what we would be doing here is just trying to match items and only add items that match. So that is going to create a weirder situation, certainly. Because there's a lot of room to do the wrong thing here. Anyway, so yeah, that in theory is what you would do. In practicality, you probably just want to make it a little bit easier on yourself. Go ahead and make some more bullets. The crafting bench. Make a weapon repair kit. Yep. Then what you would do is again just match items here and drop it all in that. And same thing here, you would drop items all over here, although in reality you probably aren't going to have too many items, maybe 2 items at total. More practically though, you'll just drop everything here. And let's say I managed to I managed to get something to its maximum. It then is just something I'd have to sell to buy a different weapon back from this one. It is way easier instead to just say we'll deal with all of this later and continue playing. Of course. There's some heavy stuff here. Yeah, particularly when you're just picking up everything, you're going to be over encumbered very quickly. $59 might be as good as we're gonna get. Yeah. Okay. Right. And now we want to check out the next area, which would be this way. There's actually very little you can do otherwise. Because, yeah. What are you gonna do? You're craft some things. That's about it. They're probably getting better weapons. We're fighting these Night Stalkers, I imagine. If the Night Stalkers are limited, they're just like limited in what they can give you. In worst case scenario, they give you more tails, more blood. Just fairly low value items. Now, X13 is here, so there's just a couple of extra locations. I am noticing, though, it does seem like there aren't too many extra locations. I guess I'm putting everything on the left. It's probably a mistake to choose the left, but how would I have known that? We really haven't even picked up that much, but if I can drop some things, I'd like to. Let's see, I am up to 63 now. So there's gotta be. That's good. Good enough. So this is some kind of light wave research center is what it's labeled as. Imagine what we're going to find is interesting. Give an actual picture of an actual person. Any other game, I'd half expect that to be a quest item where you're going to have to remind each of the brains in the jars that they once were human and find things that remind them of their humanity. Interesting. And so we've got a hologram walking around. Can we talk to the hologram? No. Well, I find that intriguing, but I also kind of feel like that is outside of the realm of what you would normally have in Valence Radiance Accelerator. Yep, that just doesn't feel like that is in the realm of the Fallout universe. So if I take a 10-pound vacuum cleaner, that's going to be super heavy. But I wonder if I can break that down. I thought that was going to make the hologram disappear. And you cannot hurt the hologram. Nope, it is immortal. And it's not like you get experience for shooting guns, so shooting at a hologram won't do anything for you. Interesting. When he walked over it, it still activated the physics. Because this game has never been programmed to handle holograms before. So, it is at some level a hard light hologram that you can bump into, and it can bump into other objects, even if it is immortal. This almost gives the impression now that this is a hologram projector device. The problem here is just a question as far as to what end. Did they have an interesting visual concept here and no conclusion to that narrative? Because, yeah, I'm not really seeing any interactable things. I'm not seeing the holograms point us to anything. Not seeing any mods. Well, yeah, unless there's a story mode reason later to do this. I'm confused. Let's see what this does. This takes me outside to effectively a back door. See some rock flowers. They do seem to like to hide rock flowers. I still am getting 50 XP for killing all these. So I suppose it's still worth doing. They're throwing quite a lot at me. Much like how I think this game wasted resources by having you but by hiring famous actors voice most of the characters. I think they have a library here of disintegration animations that are all nice to look at, but maybe never really needed to be created. It is a little over the top, certainly, to have enemies disintegrate to ash piles, unless you were just going to do that for all enemies, and then that was just a way of creating something that would be visually easy to identify on a brown ground background or a green grass background. But that only happens with energy weapons, and only sometimes. These may literally just be scorpions that I was supposed to have fought a long time ago. Okay. What I'm looking for is over here somewhere, though. Hexacrete Archipelago. X13. X13. So it's an archipelago, if I pronounce it correctly. And Hexacrete does seem like okay, the green pipe. We did hear them say don't walk on the green pipe. I guess this is the green pipe, and I am noticing that the green pipe does seem to have a bunch of mines on it, which definitely makes me think that the green pipe is the pipe to look for to collect mines. Get ourselves a few extra bits of XP. It's actually very easy to disarm mines. Kind of just have to mash the A button in a general direction a couple times. Okay. Okay, so I guess what we need to do is investigate.
Big Mountain, I, Dr. Mobius, will soon control you and all of science.
It does seem like the outer edges here are the places where things could be hidden. Also just kind of seems like there's not really that much here. I definitely was of the thought that there could be some kind of platforming. Let's just fast travel. Yeah, this is probably the best way to figure out if there is a door. Well, maybe these icons actually mean something more. Yeah, this was a building. This was a building. This is not a building. Yeah, I think I have just learned a lesson. Perhaps a lesson that I could have learned a long time ago. Although, then this also is like a building, but it's like only a small room. And this is a cave. And that's a destroyed town. But that's a building too, so yeah, I'm not really sure that the icons fully make sense. Well, let's walk to this spot because we really don't have anything else we can do other than maybe we could fast travel here and see if we can get to Elijah's watch. Otherwise, every other location has just been marked. Now, I have the Explorer perk, and I still assume, wow. I just looked down at my health. This is something certainly modern games are much better at too, is that you get either some heavy breathing sound effects of exhaustion or pain from the player, or you get some glowing red around the edges of the screen. Something to indicate in a very obvious way that your player is at low health and potentially about to die. Instead of doing basically nothing. And surprising that on you. A game like this really can't justify having a hardcore mode if you're not going to warn the player. You're going to make the player watch his health bar the entirety of their playthrough.
My robo-scorpions will soon conquer the crater. It's just that this is a big place, so it's hard to conquer everything.
I wonder if perhaps we would have triggered more variety in comments if we move the main story forward. It is getting pretty repetitive. Right. And we are almost completely full, so let's empty our inventory. Let's see. What I suspect that is actually going to happen here is that we'll run into this area and it'll be really small, and then we'll just come back out here and grab everything. It definitely would be difficult at this point if I needed to just make more caps for something. Like, the feeling of this game could change on a dime, certainly, if all of a sudden I have to run through every single location just searching for every single item I chose not to pick up. Yeah, and just play the whole game effectively a second time just to find small items that maybe I could craft into larger items. Yeah, I'm hoping it probably wouldn't play out that way. What I suspect will happen is that we'll come into this area. There'll be a named character to fight. And that'll be it. Bubblegum is actually one of the things that's fairly hard to find in the world. And I have no care about radiation just because my radiation resistance is high enough. Corrosive glove. I don't think we've seen any other corrosive gloves. Two critical strikes in a row. Three critical strikes in a row. Where are these guys coming from? Just get really close and see if we can get 4 critical strikes in a row. I don't think that really does anything for you. I don't think getting a critical strike does anything more than doing more damage. You do have to come and grab these suits Otherwise, they will eventually just stand back up. I think. Feels like they work that way. And this definitely would be a different experience if you didn't have radiation resistance. But you probably would still have enough pills, rad away, rad resistance, things like that that would let you get through this whole area. Each of these empty sunset sarsaparilla bottles can be used to craft two things. Either pure water, which could just be sold, or you can use a empty bottle, maybe not sunset sarsaparilla bottles, but one of the bottles at least can be used with pure water to craft something else, which effectively I guess means you would be using two bottles. Radiation is now up to 2 per second in that area. You'd think maybe this is supposed to be another hidden object challenge. Hazmat pod security code. I don't know what that is. Oh, yes, I do. It's the thing that would have opened the hazmat pod we saw in another location. A unnecessary item because I simply used the shield disruptor to get that suit. Which I'm noticing the shield disruptor is not playing as big of a role as I thought it might. Definitely gave me the feeling that every single location might be shielded and require you to get the shield disruptor upgrade first. Otherwise you're gonna have to return to areas. While we're at it, let's go ahead with the radiation and take a rad away or two. And sure, we'll take a rad X. I don't think the rad X can actually do anything, because you can't round anything down to 0 from the looks of it. And I never search these fire hose boxes. They really, again, it's just elements that really shouldn't be in the game. They don't play a big enough role. One more loot box that's unneeded. Less is more really should be the mentality on the next Bethesda game. A lot of programmers, when talking about programs, talk about legacy code and how it's often really bad in the sense that it's written by somebody who may not even work in the company anymore, and it's poorly documented And it's just not really the code you would want to work with. You'd prefer to write your own code brand new. In video games, and Bethesda games in particular, it seems like these Bethesda games are designed completely around the thought of loving legacy code and wanting to continue to use it over and over again. Now, inherently open source could be very similar, or described very similarly to legacy code, but a well-supported open source project does have a tendency to not sit around and not be updated and not be documented. A good open source program will eliminate most of the complaints you might have with legacy code otherwise. Where are we on inventory and strength? So if I was to drop like this metal armor, wouldn't be over encumbered. Then if I was to do that, needed to come over here to see if there was something interesting here, and there wasn't. Now we're on top of the building. Nothing too special there. I do definitely wonder what the state of Bethesda games and Elder Scrolls really are going to be as far as their next game after Fallout 4 and Starfield, in that you now have more of that legacy code from Starfield and Fallout 4, and you have the online element of Elder Scrolls Online. There's just going to be a lot of feature creep, I would guess. Okay, let's step away from the radiation.
Do not approach the pylons. Pylons are the glowing things. Also, do not approach a fallen pylon. If you see a fallen pylon, call security.
So I guess it's just going to be a long haul. So looking this way directly is looking towards the Forbidden Zone dome entrance. I need to curve more in this general area. I don't think, being overburdened, I can get on top of this green pipe. I'm walking in this general direction. I'm undoubtedly going to encounter some enemies. You can tell I'm putting very little care into saving bullets. I would suspect the experience might be very, very different if I was playing even on medium difficulty. I would heavily suspect that I would run out of bullets a lot quicker. Okay. So you just have all these lit up pathways also showing you the way somewhat. There's just no telling whether you've been to these places before. Guys are still fairly heavy hitters. This map isn't that big, where if the game did give me some kind of junk detector, I do think I could deal with that. Yeah. I do think I could probably run around this whole world, this whole map, and look for junk.
See how I abstract my rage, think tank? I hold you in such disdain, I generalize my hatred for you!
I'm not even sure that drinking 3 sunset sarsaparillas at the same time increases your healing to any level. You might simply be wasting them. So the question is, can we do the Bethesda crawl to get up this mountain? Or do I have to stay on the road? And this is probably example about 1,000 in this series of just why overencumbrance ruins the experience or makes it way worse of an experience. And why I would make such a drastic suggestion as having an overencumbrance mod eliminator. A mod that would eliminate overencumbrance even on your first playthrough. Like, it's just not respecting the player's time to have them slowly walk full of items. Much of the items being also junk items. Probably should get better about doing just double tapping. Yeah. If I was better at double tapping, I'd probably save some bullets. Yeah. And I think we've probably done everything there is to be done. At least most of the things that there is to be done. As far as electric bullets. And electric energy weapons. Like, next DLC I hope it pushes me much more into using big guns or missile launchers. But I don't know how you can really encourage a player to do that without just taking away all of their other guns. Which, in fairness, they did take away all the guns when I started this DLC. And we've just managed to collect a bunch of guns from other locations and in the map and other enemies. It's definitely not a situation where there are absolutely no regular guns in the game and in this DLC, and it is just energy weapons only. Which really, it should just be energy weapons only. It's also is definitely not just like a stealth section where you're playing completely differently.
Dr. Mobius,
So
surrender
slow.
yourself. You cannot win despite the fact that the odds are heavily in your favor.
Let's see, there's a couple boxes over there, but unless I can reach the boxes while being up here at the top. You can reach the top box, and that's it. Is there anything over here? No. Okay. So if everything else reset, there should be some Nuka-Colas in these machines, but there isn't. So I still think that you want to
Greetings, citizen.
convert everything.
Greetings, citizen.
Pencils are not used for any crafting
Won't that
things. Clipboards aren't used for any crafting thing.
Got any more? Well,
So I had some vacuum cleaners. I see cameras being removed, the hot plate being removed, and that's it. So a vacuum cleaner is not considered something it can break down.
Please, please. Oh,
17 coffee mugs, 2 coffee pots, adding a whole bunch of wonder glue, and empty syringes and scrap metal. Let's just see what we can craft here. Stim packs. First of all, I think we're about the best thing. Ice cold Nuka-Colas versus Nuka-Cola quartz. All of this efficient recycling, though, does open up the thought that I could probably have gotten these perks early and then see. Yep. If I gotten these perks early, I could have definitely done some other things. Yeah. That's about all we can do. So then the only other real question would just be weapons. Corrosive glove can't be upgraded. Laser pistol can be upgraded. Police baton. Upgrade that. Multi-plus rifle. That's something new. Let's see, if I had any mods, I got rid of them all, so. Yep. Then apparel. Maintain this. This armor is completely broken at this point. So, yeah. I'm just gonna drop things here so I don't waste the whole everybody's time here. Okay. Beer, rock flour, bubble gum, dandy apples. The real question is gonna be in the miscellaneous stuff. Well, certainly. I'm surprised I'm still so overweight. I must have like 2 vacuum cleaners. Yep. And see, that gets me down to like 45. I think part of the reason why I'm down to 45 though is probably because this combat armor.
Might I be of service, sir? Very good, sir.
So I want my combat armor repaired. That would require 13,000 caps. Is there any way I could get 13,000 caps? No. So I'm just wearing broken combat armor. And there is
You
just
require some
no
additional.
no thing here that would repair the armor,
Did you know
and
that
I'm not
communists
getting
have
the
an organ
resources.
behind their eyes that converts salt water into fresh? Or wait, is that penguins?
If you see robo-scorpions, do not attempt to fight them. They will shoot you with their robotic stingers, and then possibly explode.
So, as far as I can tell, we have now been everywhere in the map, except for this location, and the main story wants us to go this way to the dome, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have the key to go that way for this find all the audio samples of the jukebox quest. You know, the loading station probably isn't the right path. So if there was any need to get a bunch of empty bottles, this definitely would be the place to go. I'm thinking I'll just follow the fence line. I didn't run into too many of these berserk Securitrons. I wonder if they spawn behind the door or behind this wall. The condition of the gun I'm using right now is not particularly good. We should be able to fix that though. Yep. Gun's condition is now back up. I actually get a lot of bullets for non-energy weapons. Which I guess that would all be the canine dog gun, heavy gun that they would encourage you to use otherwise. Map-wise, it does just feel like what you would have wanted to do is break this up into 5 sections that had maybe laser fences in between them originally, and or was just maybe 10 to 20% bigger, so that there was a little bit more in between each location. But really can't complain too much. I kind of like the idea of, so we just visited every location in Big Mountain. I kind of like the idea of getting to one location and then actively having a good chance of finding it and going somewhere else. Knife, dog meat, and a cooking station. Wasn't done searching. The problem I think you run into here is that there's just so much everywhere. It's gonna take more work than it should to pick up every item. we find everything? Looks like we did. Elijah's jury-rigged Tesla cannon. So we have none that are named. You've gained a friendly help perk. So just a group of 3 of these spawned. Possibly very randomly. So we picked up all of that stuff. What can we make? We can make caravan lunch, and we can make dog steak. After picking up all those items. It's really not a lot. It doesn't seem like there's anything here. It doesn't seem like there's anything up here. These are nice little viewpoints. I wish the game was better at putting the player at these viewpoints. There's a little bit of stuff there. So the only thing, I guess the question here is just, these are EC packs. We don't have any mod for it. Can't repair it. This uses E-cells, which might be different than E-cell packs, but maybe not different. Undoubtedly, there's still hundreds of square feet in this whole area that I will never see or walk on. But I would say we've probably done at least 80% of the entirety of the map if we looked at the local map. I guess it's an interesting experiment and question to ask is, if we look at the local map, how much can you zoom out? Seems like you can only zoom out so much, which is roughly just maybe a 20th of the entire map. Again, I think I'm shorter than I'm supposed to be. Something about this whole area makes you smaller. Okay. Can't fast travel when there's enemies nearby. Let's see if we can run away. See, this is why it's better to go to the balcony, because it's just easier. Okay. If I look here and take all these weapon repair kits, I can use that to my advantage. I say equipping this and then using a couple of those, and then equipping this. I'm using a couple of those. Kind of just guessing. Then I was going to equip this, and I was going to do weapon binding. You sacrifice a portion of your life's blood to become one with your weapon. Your eyes will be keen, your limbs will not break, your claws will strike like a thunder. Fight only with your hands or the weapons of your hands to know this glory in combat. Interesting. Is that gonna wear off? So I was thinking this would be the way you get the cosmic knife, maybe. But this may also just be some kind of DLC thing that we're going to deal with later. Speaking of dealing with things later. Oh, take this. What does this do? 253 damage per second. Go down to 151 damage per second. And we'll take that. Yeah, there's still really no way. Yeah. There's absolutely no way here that you would get enough caps to repair the item. So it is probably better just to clean out our inventory. So many things I probably could break down. But I do think it is better to just clean out the inventory. What we're going to end up doing, I think, is we'll have to turn in a quest. Move the main story forward. Yeah, I don't think we have any other choice. We have to move the main story forward. And that probably will be a lot of talking. Yeah. Try to maybe move this story forward first. And then I think what I want to do before I do anything else is just take a little bit of a break. That way we can come back and go a little bit longer. I don't want to start the next episode locked into a long conversation section. I'm trying to look for the teddy bears. Yeah, we'll take all the teddy bears with us too. Make a safety save, and then we'll head back to the think tank. Yep. So, yep, I'm gonna take a small break and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, yeah, we're in some weird position here as far as the binding ritual, changing the sides of the visuals, which noticeably changing the signs of the visuals is exactly what I needed to happen when I started to take damage and nearly died. Okay. So, the returning of Gabe's bowl I think goes to this guy, Dr. Boris. So let's talk to him first.
The lobotomite returns. What insidious plan can it have brewing in its horrid mind?
It's kind of annoying to have
What
this
commie anti-American
foggy
propaganda
edged
will it
effect.
spew? What? Why, yes, it is. I used to leave it outside his doghouse, chock full of chems, before the cybernetic modifications, of course. And no matter how chemmed the food, he would always eat it, and his tail would wag, even while you know, I'm having the most perplexing feeling squiggling through my biogel. I can't quite pin it down.
So we can do a speech check of 45.
Why, yes. Gabe. No matter how awful my day had been, he was always waiting there. How odd. My gel is decoagulating. And when I would talk to him about Betsy, and how Marcus would beat on me and call me Smarty Sissy Pants, he'd just sit there, head on my knee. And if you don't mind, I'll take that bowl. Just need to remove it. Put it away, somewhere out of radar range. For some reason, its similarity to the crater shape of Big Mountain is starting to fill up all available cognitive spaces. That, combined with my own overwhelming feeling of having done something terrible, the two were hitting me with unexpected force.
So we may be making this Dr. Boris a nicer person.
As odd as it is, I believe that is the conclusion. And I wonder why it didn't hit me before, until I saw that memory in your hands. This sensation is unpleasant. I don't care for it. I don't care for this place either. And I feel as if we've forgotten something. Still, it is no matter. Crush the feeling down. Crush it down. Push it into the loop. Yes, forgotten. Almost. Yes? I do not need to remember anymore. Not today.
And so that's,
Until
I guess,
next
it.
time, then. Provided there is a next time. For any of us.
That doesn't start a new quest. It just kind of finishes the old quest. Which then means this is the next actual quest to turn in. And yeah, I don't believe that there's actually going to be a lot more quests or anything specific about delivering teddy bears. I just am going to talk to Dahlia and see if she wants the teddy bears.
And you return as curious as a teddy bear. Are you stuck in a looping gesture of greeting?
We have some new lines of dialogue.
If you're ready, let me radar scan you. Slowly. Woo. Woo. Burble, burble, woo. Bloop,
Dahlia is particularly weird.
burble. Ba, ba, bloop. Ba, ba, bloop. Ba, ba, bloop. Whew.
So that gave me some ammo, but it didn't give me any caps.
Thank you, lobotomite. Please, you must come back for further study when I've had a rest. I'm a little sensitive right now.
Here we have a new dialogue. If I have a real teddy bear if you want it.
Whatever for. No, I like teddy bears. Teddy bears come in many sizes. Your size is what intrigues me the most. Some say that teddy bears can't be living, breathing things. They are wrong. They are large biological forms, breathing, heaving, snarling, coughing. Lobotomites are my teddy bears. Oh, yes.
Let's go with moving on.
Very well. If you're certain of your conclusions, my little teddy bear.
Let's try this dialogue. So I have all these teddy bears and she doesn't want it, and there's no more dialogue. Yeah. So the quest seems like it goes forward when you talk to Klein. So just talk to Dr. 8 as much as we can't really. Let's see. I got the emitter fully upgraded. Oh yeah, I left the antenna tower. So maybe this will upgrade the emitter some more. This really does just feel like pointless conversations. And again, I really would prefer if each of these brains were in more of the edges of the map, instead of all coming to this one location to talk to everybody. So let's talk to this guy, Dr. Zero.
Yeah, I discovered more internal parts in the monitors here. If you could, You sure are testing that personality chip thoroughly. All right. Yeah, there were a few under the monitors here. Here you go. Keeps the place tidy.
50 caps is nothing.
Until our next...
So the teddy bears didn't lead to anything, even though it gave me a dialogue conversation. Maybe it will lead to something later. There's kind of nothing new likely in any of this. I may have to run back and get the antenna. The weapon binding ritual fades from your mind. Weapon binding ritual is worn off. Okay, well, that didn't give me a cosmic knife for just doing that. Maybe you had to kill a lot of people.
I can hear your... Did you retrieve the technologies yet? We need them, as I have indicated.
So, I have recovered all the technologies.
What? You did? Your survival, let alone success, barely registered in my projections. Now, all I need to do is check my transmission databank. Mobius is always filling it up with his psychotic calls. Oh yes, there's the schematics, just like you said. How truthful.
So we sent the schematics.
Yes. Yes.
We also have
Yes,
each of
yes,
the items, but I'm not wearing any of the items, so maybe I'm gonna end up getting less XP, although it really wouldn't matter too much.
No. I mean, yes. You just need to analyze these technologies for a moment. They are extremely advanced, you know? I know how these technologies work. Of course I know. If you remember, we described them in clearly abstract, contradictory statements before. Why would we do that if we weren't certain on how to use them? Yes. So let me... a bit, huh? I'll figure it out.
Okay. So let's go with the repair 75 first.
So you're saying it's the X2 array, not the antenna I should be examining. That was most likely my plan, yes. Let me
That
check
gives me
something.
75 XP.
Of course. I have it. The override sequence to open the Forbidden Zone door is hidden in the schematics. Well, not
So,
hidden.
it doesn't
It's actually
seem
right
like I
there,
can go
behind
back
the programming equivalent of coffee stains.
and
It's
do the other
embedded in what
checks.
seems to be recursive code. It's badly commented there and there. Oh, and null pointers very sloppy, Mobius. You see, using the antenna to boost the emitter's sonic frequency and the stealth suit to bypass the Forbidden Zone lock, yes, that could work. Was that my plan? It must have been. Sometimes I truly surprise myself. The door is open, and now Mobius will get his.
So now we'll go with Science 85.
Biological? Ridiculous. I mean, technically, these items could all be used to put you back together once you had your brain. But for now, they can be used in the name of aggression. The door should be unsealed. Now, instead of being subjected to threats, we can now send an equally threatening message to Mobius. And that message is science. Deliver this message, and Big Mountain shall be freed from Mobius's reign of terror. You can go now. That's your cue. What are you...
And there's just like no other dialogue
Yes,
here.
a most good...
Okay. So the quest is travel to the Forbidden Zone, and from the looks of it, it seems like it might make sense to have all of the items on me, but also may just not be that necessary. Yeah, let's do it though. So I had already put into my storage here everything of those 3 items.
Might I be of service, sir? Very good.
Stealth suit would be 15,000 caps. Combat armor is only 13,000. I don't think we want to hold on to the knife. Guess I can equip this, but I couldn't repair it. I could equip this and do an unarmed.
Marcus, nurse. Smash. He's got a severe case of shoe lung.
Do we have enough bullets for this to work? Yeah, I think we have enough bullets. We'll just get rid of max charges. Where are we on? Aid. Apparently I've drinking all of the Sunset sarsaparillas. Don't have any on me. I also don't seem to have any stim packs on me. Ooh. So I'm in a pretty bad position. So these 5 auto-inject stim packs is all I've got. Which I guess I can just use one now. Okay. I guess I could just walk to this location if I wanted to. I don't think there really is a reason to walk to that location. I'm going through bullets very quickly here. This is shooting like 10 bullets at a time. And yeah, this just does not really feel like the right gun. So I think we have to switch guns, otherwise I am just gonna end up dying. And then we'll make sure we're on the good number of bullets. Max charge. Yeah. We are still tiny compared to this. I wonder if this is intentional and that it is supposed to be like a giant scaled up version of the door. No, look, I'm even getting stuck here. The game is just poorly designed. And that's a consistent bug, so that's not just, oh, somebody programmed it wrong, or there's no possible way you could have detected or fixed that bug. I'm just gonna get rad scorpions attacking me over and over again. Almost certainly. So, I guess what we're doing here is we're probably hacking our way. Okay, I see some turrets over here. We probably need to run and hack those too. So this is kind of a great example of where boss fights are not something that you would really expect from a Fallout game. This doesn't seem like there's anything here. Major radiation damage from that attack. I guess you definitely were encouraged to play this stealthily, so had I had the full stealth suit... Okay. Subjugated. It's 3, right? Extremely... Can't be extreme. Currently. So stealth and science.
This is a pre-recorded attack message indicating my desire to commit violence on you. X-42, attack in the name of Mobius!
Let's go ahead and use a stim pack just for safety's sake. And we could also drink like one of those. But mostly I think we want to do that. Let's see. Recuperating is 3, right? So we want something ing to see if that is 3 correct also. So now I am locked into the thought that it is ing. Is there something that would say 3 other things could be. It could be like the P and the A and the... Yeah. See, because I don't think there is another IMG option. If this interface was just spread out a little bit better and it said entry denied 3 of 12 correct at the right of the word, this would be so much easier. So I guess the question here is broadcasting... Nope, I messed that up, so we'll just do that again. And see, this just may be the end of the DLC. There may be very little in this room other than a few items to pick up. There may be no more quest. Either that, or we may find Mobius is just not really here. Resurrection. And then if we did purification as the next one, that tells me 6 are right. So what 2 other things would be right? I don't think it's subterranean. Could it be civilization? 7 correct. Oh man, this is really hard. The words being this long. There's too many opportunities to get it wrong. And since this is effectively close to Wordle, it probably would make a lot more sense to not end ION as much as it might make sense to just eliminate things with your second guess. Is resurrection or replenishing lining up in any way with civilization? No. And I definitely don't want to just get locked out, so if I have to just guess over and over again, it'll be boring, but infiltration. Transmission. Oh! This tells me quite a bit now. So one letter is correct, and it's not ION. So it's not this one. It's not that one. We already did that one. If it was recuperating, nothing could line up at all, which is true. And certainly if you were playing this game and actually reading all of this, like, Okay. That levels us up. Melee weapons. We could go up to 75. Sneak unarmed. We can go up to 75. Inherently that is probably a good way to go. Level 46. Now the question is junk rounds. Craft ammo and the reloading using alternate materials, scrap metal, and tin cans. That might be a better perk. But I kind of don't think I want to go with that. I think I want to go with Mysterious Stranger, if I was to guess. That's probably the most interesting option. And taking a perk that would just make you 25% more damage with one specific gun is really a mistake. Unless there was a mod that lets you play New Game Plus. Let's see if I could get all the perks. There's basically this perk, the level 48 perk, and then the level 50 perk, and we already know what the level 50 perk is. So yeah. Mysterious Stranger, Mr. Sandman, or Cannibal, I think are really all you can pick. And junk rounds is a crafting ingredient. It's only going to help you so far. Inevitably, there is this thought that if you wanted to play this game more like a tabletop role-playing game, Dungeons and Dragons type experience, you would want to play with VATS non-stop. So why lock VATS behind action points where you have to go back into VATS over and over again? Why can't you just have a attack button that would attack, and then they would do all the math in the background as to whether the enemy can attack before you can? Lessons learned at this point would be a really crazy perk to take. So here now, still not something you can take for some reason. Cannibal we can't take. Strength. Heavyweight as a perk might have been nice. Strength, limiting that. Melee weapons have to be at 80 and sneak has to be at 80 to be a ninja. Unarmed has to be 90 to be a slayer. And then you just have these last three things. So it is a case where every perk is almost available to me now. But it's definitely not a case where you could take every perk. So we take the Mysterious Stranger, and I think we will become overburdened fairly quickly. We saw in the construction yard. Pieces of a giant scorpion. I thought there was potentially going to be a bigger quest that would have had us assemble a giant scorpion. Maybe that will happen later. And the game wants me to go through this door. So what I think I'll do is I'll run around. Here we have an audio sample for Mobius' Robo Scorpion, which would potentially, I guess, maybe make this weapon even stronger. One last upgrade. We'll have to see if there's things on the ground. Kind of feels like this path would have been the more dangerous shoot it path. I can't really see its health at this point, so okay, looking over here, doesn't seem like there's anything. Generally looking over here, it doesn't seem like there's anything. That's as far as we got it, and notice how far away you are from the actual Robo Scorpion, and you can still see its life bar. So they've probably did some weird programming there where a giant scorpion can't interact with it. In fact, you just clip through its claws completely. I would assume it also would have been a really dumb move to get on the ground and try and fight it. You can't imagine that would have worked well. There's another one of these electric boxes. It's buried in the floor. I do see a potential scenario here where you might be somewhat bad at shooting guns and hacking and stealth. I don't know how the game could help you then. It gave you several different ways to get some assistance fighting this big boss. There was a giant robot that showed up in Fallout 3. Spoiler, I guess. And it was a very, very scripted mission. Really a mission right before the last couple of missions. It definitely felt out of place. It felt not too different from the assault on the Hoover Dam mission in the main game. I suppose what could happen here is that we could actually find out that Mobius is going to give us a bunch of other quests. That's a slight possibility. Could also just be an advanced radiation thing. Okay, we're at 218. What can we drop? It's gotta be heavy things over here, right? That should help us not be over encumbered. And obviously, I'm trying to have as fast of an experience as possible here, so I don't want to sort through the entire inventory. This would be a great example, again, if I had some kind of radar that showed me what items were to pick up. That'd be helpful. Some games have even introduced the idea of you mark a radar to point you to the closest type of resource. And so it's not so much a case where you're just running around getting everything. You're targeting specific things you actually want. Okay, so the door is there, which means I should put everything here. This one's not really working. Okay, so anything with any weight. Maybe not the Nuka-Colas, but whatever. I could have also stealth boyed, I guess, throughout that whole fight. That would have also worked. It is weird though that we had that whole school facility and that whole stealth facility, and then the third area just didn't feel as much like it was a well thought out area. And this doesn't feel like this is a complicated area with multiple rooms. Okay, 83 is probably about as good as I'm gonna get. Camera, scrap electronics, look around, see if we see anything else. I guess the twist here could be that Mobius is actually dead and has been dead this whole time, and it's just been pre-recordings, and that the brain trust has erased that thought from their mind. Or it could be that Mobius has tricked them all and it's gonna knock me out and take all the items I have. Forbidden Dome looks very much like the other dome, except for we have our gun here. Just a domed area. Okay. So let's make an assumptions here. Can we take things?
Imagining all sorts of imaginary numbers right now.
So let's just loot, and then we'll talk to Mobius. And it does seem like he may just give us a quest. Mobius' scrubs. We've already found all these items. That there is this decent thought that Bethesda games have, where there's usually at least 2 places you can get a unique item. But that thought, I think, is mostly because they're afraid the items will glitch through the ground and disappear. Any other game, you would have these story elements hand you unique items and just make sure the player always gets those unique items. And I guess that's more for Fallout than it is for like Skyrim, because there definitely were, if I'm recalling correctly, some items that could only be collected in one place in Skyrim. A lot of times though, for the release dates of these different Bethesda games, it sometimes feels like it is just 2 steps forward and then 1 step back, as far as whether they introduce new ideas or innovate on old ideas. Of course, this is also DLC that wasn't actually made by Bethesda, so it's no surprise that this is slightly different. Or, well, no, the main game of New Vegas, we know, was made by Obsidian. And I kind of have no idea who made this DLC, if it was Obsidian or someone else. And I would assume I'm not going to run into... There's just a massive amount of mentats here, which could turn into a massive amount of caps. Still getting a lot of scrap electronics. Did we get everything in this room? I think we did. Yeah, I think I'd be fairly irritated if there was a long credit sequence after doing all this. Maybe if they gave a short credit sequence, it would be alright. So I hear something snoring. And this is a brain tank. So either this is Mobius's brain, or it's my brain, I would assume. Kind of weird if it was somebody else's brain. Still getting bits of XP for lockpicking. Not really enough lockpicking in this game, in this DLC. But if the focus is science, it does also kind of make sense that you wouldn't focus on lockpicking. And certainly I could see players giving the feedback that they're just tired of doing the lockpicking minigame. Lockpicking itself, I think, could easily be improved by just getting 4 levels of perks. Once you've gotten a level like 25 on lockpicking, you can skip easy lockpicks automatically. Once you get to 50, you could do average. Once you get to 75, you can do hards, and then once you do get to 100, you can skip very hards. In a similar vein, I could see increasing your health would potentially increase the odds of you just automatically healing if you just stay still for a while. And of course, hacking with science, exact same situation, would make sense that if you get science to 25, you can auto hack easy terminals, and so on and so on. My question here, we have A through E, F through J, K through Q. It definitely feels to me like there's no way you would have been able to grab everything in this area without becoming over encumbered. And if that is the case, then obviously it needs to be balanced a little bit better. Honestly, I think even if you had like a strength of 10, you still would not have been able to grab everything in this area. A lot of cracked, bloody screens from the looks of it. So it looks like somebody's brain might go into the Securitron. Yeah, I feel like this would be fairly annoying if that is just the end of it. And then the whole eyeball here hasn't really played a role. Shows up just in a couple places.
I do so love integers.
Oh look, one of his eyes is broken.
You are there, aren't you? Forgive my confusion. So hard to tell these days. You seem familiar somehow. I'm guessing you're here for your brain, perhaps? It's just up there. Such a nice brain, young, very bright. Little hard to see you. Can you walk into my left, right FOV cone? Ah, that's it. You're coming into focus nicely. Depth perception is a problem with this old monitor of mine. Went black a while ago. That's old age for you. Should look at getting the visual nerves reattached. It's just that the right eye would see the wrong things. The flying tortoises were the worst. Would you care for a mentat?
Let's see.
I love
So he's
mentats.
crazy.
Delicious and smarty.
From the look of it.
I have all
It's still weird
sorts of
that this isn't zoomed out more so you can
science-orific
see the
thoughts and
brain
ideas when those chalky
in the
talents
jar
are zipping
at the
through
top.
my biogel. I forget them all not long after, though, especially with the data constipating my memory core. Afraid binary streams might shoot out my chassis. Had to start using the dome floor and walls here to inscribe equations, although I've somewhat lost track of where they start and end.
So this is very much just like the last bad guy in the main story, where there's just a lot of conversation it seems like you're gonna have, and then it might very well end in a fight regardless.
Really? That implies preconceived notions, theories, and a hypothesis about this meeting? Please extrapolate. What was I supposed to be like? After all, it might be worth a cognitive realignment if your theoretical Mobius is better than I.
Let's see. Let's ask the questions. Why did you steal my brain?
Oh, a variety of reasons. You're something of a homily. Anomaly? You're really quite special, and not in the cranially challenged way. You see, you are the most successful brain extraction experiment ever performed here at Big Mountain. A victim of your own success, as it were. If you were to go back with what your brain knows about the procedure, well, your brain could be popped back in and you could walk right out of here. Can't have brains moving around of their own volition.
Continue to ask questions.
I'm not sure, except that I'm sure there's a very good reason for it. I have very good reasons for almost everything I do. Even if I forget them occasionally. Although I feel this one is especially important.
This would be funny if it turned out you were a clone the whole time. Let's ask some more questions.
Oh, curiosity. I experienced that less
Might as well
now
just
that I know
exhaust all the
everything.
dialogue.
Oh, maybe it was when I found out some unpleasant answers.
Let's see, we have a repair check here. Let's do that.
The ghosts aren't real? That changes everything. Why, I can save my computing power for other perceptual impossibilities. Please be my guest. The receptor is there, and the side-switching wobbly bob, just turn that. Good, good, better. Oh, yes, that feels wonderful. This is even better than my afternoon mentats break.
75 XP for doing that.
Well, every scientist needs an army. Mine came to me after these rather large scorpions kept coming in from the desert, like poisonous frosting. How scary, I thought. But they had survived when nothing else had. Perfect candidates for improvement as a reward for their tenacity. Then I thought, what if they shot energy bolts and acted as walking eyes and data-drained computers and acted as bullhorns? Then I made them bigger. Then I thought about custard. I do so love custard. Or was it mustard? Mustard custard. I miss sugars and salts. I find things curious as well. Go on.
Why broadcast threats to the think tank?
Oh, I was probably tripping hard on Psycho when I sent that. Had to work myself up to it. Not usually violent, except when I am. then watch out! So many chems, such varieties. Whenever I take mentats, I can feel my entire chassis breathe like a big spherical lung.
I definitely don't feel like this is gonna resolve in some amazing story.
Go in the wrong tube. Still served its purpose. Did I? Maybe I did. Can't have them leaving. Some reason for it. Ethics or, conscience? You and your brain are quite alike. I'm sure it knows the reasons better than I do.
Everything you told me doesn't add up. Your plan, even your name, Mobius.
Dr. Mobius. Rather catchy, isn't it? It's my name, and my new name overwrote the old one. This name's as real as you or I. Although I believe your brain expressed similar incredulity at the nature of such an appellation. Someone's been watching too many old-world science fiction movies, it said. I believe it meant me. I must admit I have a vulnerability for holotape fantasies of planets and robots and all that is forbidden. As for the name I was born with, like the think tank, we were all reprogrammed to forget them, take on new names. It enforces the recursion loop in our perception programming.
You reprogram their names as part of the recursion loop. What, to trap their processors?
Now, trap is a rather harsh word, like excrement. Not an inappropriate word, but still rather harsh. But, yes, I did take some liberties with their programming. It's all right, they don't remember. I certainly didn't until you said trap, and then I said excrement, and then...
Let's go. 3 options here. Recursion loop is designed to prevent the flow of information, so...
The radar fence to keep the think tank hemmed in wasn't really enough. They keep testing things. They would have found a way to disarm it. I suspect I have plan C's in place, but I may have coded myself to forget them, just in case. Probably very dangerous, lethal, or worse. So I had to do something else to keep them occupied here. Or as you like to say, trapped. I prefer to have several plan Bs in case the A's fail.
Klein. I don't see how Klein is a loop. I don't get that reference. Mobius strip is a loop. 0 or O is a loop. 8's a loop. They're all loops.
Oh, you figured it out. No pun intended. Dr. O, which is actually not his real name multiplied, since you can't multiply his real name in the first place. Ouroboros, Klein, they have all forgotten themselves. And not only themselves, but the world, sense of time, and history. All that is left is what's here. I reprogrammed their chronometers, geometers, and cartography programs. This is now their world, here, Big Mountain. It was a merciful lobotomy, really, thinking back. They were my friends, but sometimes they would take things too far.
So inherently, I think they're saying they were the bad guys.
Ready for that kind of too far
experimenting too much.
That's my professional opinion, anyway. And I am told I was once quiet professional.
Here we have another intelligence thing, which will give us XP, so we'll take that. So Boris was...
Really? It is so unlike me to make an error in anything I do.
Let's go with this second choice.
Well, it's simple. Despite their many failings, they are rather bright. They are the think tank for a reason. That I didn't change. Without something to distract them, make them afraid, they would simply deduce what had happened. And when they start deucing it up, then you came along, the final variable solved. They saw that their world was larger than they perceived. Bacteria, finally able to see its host.
There were other visitors. Why am I different?
There have been other visitors to make them doubt their perceptions, but you are the one who dialed back their monitor micromagnifiers. You were irrefutable proof that there was a world outside. And then there was the whole brain fiasco, which forced me to take steps. See,
so you're just getting an info dump here that explains everything.
A uniquity that they had never thought to try in all their countless escape attempts.
Okay, so here we have Perception 7, the bullet that went into my brain, cranial injury. Alright, we'll go with Perception 7, because that's a special, where these are just skills.
Yes, very good. I should have mentats ingest you instead of the other way around. Mentats. In any event, you showed up at the think tank, and because you had suffered a cranial injury in just the right place, bullets in the head are usually much more fatal, and yours was a light case of bullet headitis. But it was enough for the autodoc in the sink to change its programming to fix the problem, and the brain extraction technology for once worked. That gave the think tank the knowledge its brains couldn't possess. With that knowledge, the procedure can be reversed. If they obtain that procedural data, they can use it to mush and modify their cranial cells into hosts to slip past the radar fence. I'm sure of it. And once they're off the reservation...
Let's see. Let's go with the intelligence option here again. Klein said he had the idea to get 3 technologies after your broadcast. Coincidence?
I consider coincidence to be profanity, along with the words astrology, herbal tea, and luck. So watch it, potty mouth. My threat broadcast is designed to instill and install fear. And along with the emotional download, other data rides the fear carrier wave. It prompted them to focus on retrieving those technologies and bring them to attack me. And coincidentally, pardon my language, all those technologies are needed to put a brain, your brain, back into its skull properly.
Let's see, do we have any other options? But the think tank downloaded the schematics, not the items. They can rebuild them. Let's go with that one.
Oh, that means my plan is a total failure. That is unfortunate. Oh well, at least I tried.
Continue to just exhaust all the dialogues. It's just way too much text.
The X2 antenna can be used to focus your alpha wave frequency thought patterns. The sneaky suit, why, it houses a cardiac regulator. And the sonic sound wave projecto emitter was never intended as a weapon. It was a medicinal vertebrae pulse desensitizer. In short, brains, a heart, and courage. Spine. I think there was a story once where a band of murderous thugs sought these things. They had them
Wizard of
all
Oz
the time
reference.
in the story. Didn't stop them from murdering to get them. And it won't stop the think tank either.
Okay, so we are getting close to the end here.
Yes, my overly aggressive cammed-up broadcast was designed to keep reinforcing the forget, fear, rinse, and repeat program. Oh, and the get me the things to castrate your only possible escape attempt. But I couldn't delete you or your arrival any more than I could the other visitors. Only so much science can do when you started talking to them. You're really quite difficult to ignore, you know. It's because you're, well, rather intriguing, if you'll forgive an old brain for saying so.
So I guess we have to be curious about some things.
Yes, this is getting interesting. You are just filled with these little slices of curiosity, aren't you?
Okay, so it seems like we've done everything.
There have been other visits. You see?
Okay, and there are some other things we could do.
Yes, in
And
any
that will give me
but
some more XP.
and
Let's ask about the other visitors.
not much, except they contaminated Big Mountain and installed new ideas in the think tank. One caused a great deal of infrastructure damage with his brain and smartiness. Ruthless, that one. Played a little rough with the trains. But the last one was the most dangerous. Him, slipping away. That was almost as bad as the think tank escaping. The first one, the ruthless one who smashed up our toy trains, asked for weapons, power, items he could use to destroy a nation with force. The other asked a different question, and with it got the true answer about what makes nations and what breaks them. He spoke to the think tank to climb, showed them the flag of the old world, and it made them remember all of it, all that had happened. They shared things with him that they shouldn't. He now carries those ideas, that knowledge elsewhere. Yes, I certainly wouldn't loop it on purpose. I am far too sophisticated to make such a childish error.
So we've been through that dialogue. I just don't know if there's anything else.
Now,
Now, that seems to be rather hormonal of you. Flight or fight response, you know.
Just a lot of
Hard to
repeated
cut
dialogue
that out
here.
completely. Your brain is here, safe with
See,
me.
I don't know if there's a
chat over
maze here to
vendettas.
avoid killing him.
Do you? You seem fine without it. And does it even want to go back with you? Maybe you should ask it. It's quite independent, has all manner of opinions. Tell you what, I'll leave it up to your brain. If it wants to go, then fine. If not, well, you should respect its wishes.
Interesting. So we had to really struggle to get out of this
Indeed.
conversation
The,
without killing
goodbye
him.
part of our little chat then. Goodbye. Please mind the equations on the floor.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to talk to him again. We're gonna just have to run late today. Here we have a brain tank. And I wonder if this is going to be a really big conversation
Well,
or not.
well, look who finally dragged themselves in out of the wasteland. And where have we been?
It's funny how our
Crawling through
brain
bits of
sounds different.
radioactive muck again?
Why does my brain sound so masculine? Alright, I'm going to cough 1 second.
Ah, well, as to that, you'd be surprised how hard a feminine-sounding voice modulator is to find in the Forbidden Zone. It's not as though brain-sustaining life support tanks grow on trees. I had to take what I could get. Ah, lovely. Figured that out, have we? Would you like a cookie?
So... Let's just ask the direct questions instead of fighting with our own brain.
After the think tank extracted me from your skull, they fell to bickering amongst themselves. I'm sad to say we were quite forgotten about. Dr. Mobius saw an opportunity to gain some leverage and had me spirited away to his dome. I don't know. I'm afraid the trauma of our separation rendered me quite insensate. I didn't come around until I was safely ensconced in this tank. I'm quite sure whatever he did was highly scientific, though. Hardly. Dr. Mobius keeps a close optical sensor on the goings-on at the think tank. As soon as he saw the opportunity, he took it.
Okay.
Well, as long as your curiosity is satisfied.
Let's go with you better be more respectful.
Oh, had I? What exactly will you do if
Sorry,
I
I'm
don't?
having a
Not
coughing
put
fit.
me back in that cranial dungeon you call your head? Heavens forbid.
So we're fine. Let's ask this question, I guess.
Well, that's a fine how do you do. Me, quote, dick, unquote. As if I'm the one responsible for the way you carry on gadding about the wastes. I'm not the one that makes us clamber around Technus-infested ancient vaults or go charging off to New Vegas on missions of ill-conceived revenge. And have we forgotten who got us shot in the head and buried in a shallow grave? Do you think I enjoyed that little moment? I most certainly am not. I'm the seat of all reason and logic in our little partnership. All those feelings that motivate you, that sense of righteousness and that rush you get when you help someone, do you know where those come from? Glands. They come from glands. free of the tyranny of your ape-like and primitive endocrine system, I can see how foolish your motives are.
Here we have a medicine one we'll go with.
Well, look, it's all a very complex system of biofeedback and other things I wouldn't expect you to understand. Oh, all right. Perhaps I am, but at least I'm logical about it. I'm not going to lie to you. The prospect is definitely not that appealing. Look at it from my perspective. Here I have peace, quiet, and safety. Well, barring the odd rogue scorpion. In your head, I've got poison, radiation, grisly injuries, and biological functions. Do you know how much more you can get done when you're not constantly looking for places to urinate? It's quite a lot, I can tell you.
So we're just convincing our brain to join.
Overrated biological feedback. Believe me, you only feel that way because you've got all that meat oozing hormones. I suppose you're right. That does call certain assumptions into question, doesn't it? Indeed, quite the conundrum. How do you suppose we resolve it?
Do I even want my brain back for video game reasons? I think you need to do it.
I suppose there might be some advantage to that, yes. There's a chance that the reintegration would create some improved synergy between us. Well, I suppose you've convinced me well enough. I'll rejoin your body if that's your final decision. Unfortunately, before we get to that stage of the proceedings, we have a problem. Even if I could settle myself back in your skull and reconnect all those pesky nerve endings, Dr. Mobius doesn't have the tools here. We would have to make use of Dr. Klein's lab, and I rather doubt the brains are inclined to share.
So that's the question here, why?
And you believe them? Really? I know you were recently deprived of my fabulous advice, but really? Once I'm delivered into their clutches, they'll find a way past the radar fence and the whole Mojave will be their playground. And that is assuming, of course, that one of them doesn't take a fancy to our body and decide to slip his own brain into it instead.
Let's see. We'll go with the speech one here because that'll continue to give us XP, which kind of sucks because you might want to pick a different dialogue if you actually cared. I don't really care. It definitely would be nice if the speech was stretched out to the edges of the screen. Feels like I probably at some point could have just killed the think tank, but no, I really couldn't have because of the pacification field in the think tank. I can kill Mobius because there isn't a pacification field in this dome.
Well, I suppose I do miss those endorphin rushes when we save the day. All right, what's the plan?
Let's go with this.
Right. Look out, think tank. This brain is coming out of its jar. I suppose now that we're reunited, you'll want to fill your torso up with those other meaty parts the think tank took from us. Personally, I think your upgrades are quite a bit better. But now that I'm with you, the Sync's autodock can plug them back in no problem. Right then, off we go. Klein will be in for a nasty shock when he realizes the pacification field won't work on a mind and body reunited.
Okay. So with that, I don't think there's anything moored.
Oh, I see you and... I hypothesize after the indignant frequencies my receptors had recepted, such a partnership-based... If I recall, I had a plan that was working, whatever it was. I don't think it reached fruition. I would recall fruit if it had happened. I wasn't trying to kill them, just keep them out of trouble. What was that plan? Blast. I probably wrote it down on the floor somewhere. Something ingenious and needlessly complicated, I expect. I may have already told you and forgotten it. I forgot I had forgotten pencils until one day I found one. Spent days studying its purpose before my memory circuit kicked in. Felt quite silly. That will be difficult. It would be like fighting 5 scaled-down versions of me that have better depth perception. And they have an arsenal of vivisectors, brainial beams, and a rather nasty ray that can make your atoms do a happy dance. If you could survive those highly improbable odds and ends, then deceasing them is definitely an option. Although I doubt killing them would do anything except make you feel better. Or let you brag to other humans about your primal violentness. Well, you could try and appeal to their humanity. That's a tired cliche. And really, when they were humans, they weren't very good humans.
So it looks like you'll get more quests if you try to appeal to their humanity.
Well, there's many things they have forgotten, sitting in their bowls. Friendship, the thrill of discovery, love, masturbation, the usual. Much like your brain, I am certain there is something you can spark within each of them. Memories, hormones. A wise man once said, "The eyes do more than see. Make them see, if you can. Or, if not, you can always make them succumb to fear." It certainly worked for me, for a time. Then you came along, and bravery and/or desperation trumped that little idea. Back to the drawing board, I suppose. Or is this the end? Hard to tell. Oh, tell them I'm still alive. We had a nice chat, and we agree on a few things. That's true, isn't it? Or you could kill me and lie about it. Either way, it would be interesting. And if you are partial to lying and deception, well, you could tell them a ludicrous lie. The more over the top, the better. That's my experience. They're more than a little gullible. Better make it convincing, though, or it'll be the dissection table and vivisectors for you. And if you speak of me, please try and make me look good. I am Dr. Mobius, after all, not some lab assistant teacher's aide. Why, of course you can. I am well versed in the science of sharing.
So there's just more conversation here.
Indeed. The goodbye part of our little chat then. Goodbye. Please mind the equations on the floor.
So are there actual equations on the floor that maybe I'm supposed to interact with? I mean, I don't really see equations. I just see maybe some streaks. So where's the quest got to us? Let's see. Yeah, the only quest here is to retrieve your original spine and your original heart. I assume I might be losing perks, but it didn't say I lost any perks as far as being brainless. But maybe I don't actually have the brain in my head yet. Alright, so what I'm going to do is make a safety save here in the episode, grab everything, and then probably have to slowly walk all the items back to the sink. And we won't go into the, I won't go into the think tank and move the story forward. We'll do that next episode. A lot of dialogue. That's exactly what I expected. It may very well be mostly dialogue going forward. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and keep on watching. Thanks.